Today the NBN Cameron Handicap, tomorrow the Winfield Gold Cup, and the winner automatically qualifying for the Rich Melbourne Cup. Join us tonight after the movie and of course after the America's Cup report, when I'll have Ian Craig, Jack Freeman, Wayne Harris and the Secretary of the Newcastle Jockey Club, Brian Judd, to give you a full rundown on the form of all horses in tomorrow's $80,000 Winfield Cup. Join us at 11 o'clock, be there.
Today's announcement by the Premier that the Sandy Hollow line will be extended to Gulgong has an unfortunately familiar ring. In September 1981, the Premier made a very similar announcement. Negotiations for construction of the 25-kilometre link were almost complete, and that the line would be in operation by September 1982. The entire Sandy Hollow line, of course, has a stop-start history which dates back to the turn of the century. The significance of the Gulgong link is that it takes the line a step closer to Maryvale and a direct route from Dubbo to Newcastle. This time, the Premier says work will start on the extension of the line within 2 months, and that 70 people will be employed by Christmas.
The only thing is we don't have fresh replacements if we do need replacements, which is an advantage Maitland probably has. Right.
No, I think we prefer that role, Mike. A couple of times against, last week against Mayfield East, I think we were the underdogs and we came through on top in a few other games during the season. We've had a few injuries and representative players away, and we think we like the pressure more and going that way.
Where do you see the main clash?
In the forwards for sure.
But Paul Gaffney, captain of the minor premiers Maitland, isn't too concerned that his side has only had one game in 3 weeks.
That'll be to our benefit because we've done a lot of work on the opposition who we're up against. While they've been knocking each other around, we've been resting and have a good preparation for tomorrow's game.
And confident of making it a double for the Maitland area, the Rugby League Grand Final and the Rugby Union Grand Final?
Yeah, there's a lot of interest in the town, and the pressure's on us, but that's what we like.
I don't think there's any reason not to be confident. We've beaten them 3 times this year. I think we've got to be careful that we're not overconfident after having beaten them 3 times, and particularly after such convincing wins the last 2 games of the year.
David, those 3 extremely good wins during the year over Warners Bay, does that place any extra pressure on you as a coach to keep the players psyched up for tomorrow's grand final?
I'll be much relieved on Saturday night when we've won it, Mike. I think the problem now is to keep players' attitudes right down to a grassroots level and come out and play the basics in football, because basic football wins finals.
Unlike Western Suburbs, who are reigning premiers, Neil Dunn and the Warners Bay Club appear in their first ever grand final, and obviously the club is delighted.
Yes, it is, Mike. Yeah, it is a big thrill for everybody, the whole club, yeah.
Now, you're playing Western Suburbs, who you haven't had a great deal of success against this particular year.
No, well, we almost got away with them in the first game, and that's about as close as what we've come. And apart from that, they have beat us, yeah, on other 2 occasions.
Is there any specific tactics you're using tomorrow against Western Suburbs to combat their big men?
Oh no, we'll just play it as it comes, and I think we've got the team to beat them. But if we can keep the pressure up for the whole 4 quarters.
Arrival was a quiet affair, considering the upheaval of the past few days over the drastic cuts in the 4 major hospitals' interim budget allocations. The delegation from Belmont Hospital was able to speak to the Minister briefly. He says he was not aware of the problem at the hospital. The representatives from the Royal Newcastle, Western Suburbs, Wallsend and the Mater hospitals were not so fortunate. This was despite a request sent to the Minister adopted by the board of the Royal Newcastle Hospital earlier this month, outlining the proposed cost-cutting measures. But today, all financial matters were pushed to one side, with the opening of the $1.9 million Level 6 of the Mater Hospital. The area had been used as a children's ward and a training centre in the past, but now it has been renovated to a 42-bed ward. 2 wards, A and B on Level 3, were closed and the beds were transferred upstairs. Hundreds of people crammed into the corridors to witness the opening. Mr Brereton merely reiterated his support for the new Med 2 bunkers to be built, and he expressed confidence that next week's budget would provide the necessary funds. The Minister says the upgrading of health services is a very important part of the government's policy. Why then has he seen fit to reduce the individual hospital budgets so drastically?
But what we are asking individual hospitals is to be up to 1% more efficient this year than last year in order that we can use that 1% to fund some greatly needed new initiatives.
The Minister went on to say that there had been no reduction in budgets and that most hospitals are receiving the same amount of money as they did last year. But the Chairman of the Royal Newcastle Hospital Board, Mr Graham Mullane, says the Minister hasn't taken inflation into account.
In dollars, it's easy to say that we're getting a similar amount to last year. Now, on our calculations and using an inflation rate of only 7%, we find that the budget's inadequate by about $1.4 million. And I don't think many people would criticise a conservative estimate of inflation of 7%. I think that's quite reasonable.
Mr Mullane also denies the Minister's claim that the shortfall in funding can be made up by economising within the hospital. He says only $380,000 of the $1.4 million can be saved in that way. He says the rest has to be achieved by reductions in staff through natural attrition and cuts in services and beds.
Set, go.
Thousands of people participated in the festival held at various locations around the lake. Events included an athletics carnival, a junior golf championship, netball and bowling competitions, a horse festival, and on the waters of the lake, sailboard, surfboat and yacht races. The festival was conducted along the lines of a mini-Olympics, with gold, silver and bronze medals being awarded to the top competitors in each event. The inaugural festival, titled the Lake Macquarie Day of Sports, was held last year to coincide with the passing of the Commonwealth Games baton through the municipality. The response to that one-day event was so great that the Lake Council decided to make the Sports Day an annual 2-day festival. The Lake Mayor, Alderman Pasterfield, says the popularity of the festival is surprising, considering it has only been running for 2 years. He believes next year's will be even bigger and hopes people from all over the Hunter region will come to the lake to take part. Only a few days ago by the Department of Main Roads. The intention was to improve traffic flow through the intersection and make conditions safer. The residents say not only are the signs inadequate, but confusing as well, making the intersection more dangerous than it was previously. The signs have also angered local business owners. It is now no longer possible for people travelling up Station Street to continue across Turton Road to the Waratah shops. A public meeting to discuss the situation will be held at the Newcastle City Hall tomorrow. The meeting was called by Alderman John Tate.
I think the first option is a set of traffic lights, but of course that's difficult to acquire, and we need something that will rectify the problem very quickly. And I propose that we have a council call a conference between the DMR and the police and the local residents, because I think there is a way that that intersection can be made safer and everybody's needs facilitated by altering just the traffic patterns at this stage.
And what sort of alterations would you be proposing to the meeting?
Well, what it hinges around, as I see it, is making the part of Turton Road between Station Street and Platt Street one way in a northerly direction.
Members of the 450 Squadron Association gathered at the RAAF base in memory of their fallen colleagues. The special service is conducted every 2 years. Air Commodore Monaghan, the officer commanding the RAAF base, described the squadron as one of the best the Air Force had. And 42 years after the squadron disbanded, the association of more than 200 members lives on. Yesterday's service was held in memory of those who did not return from active duty. The 450 Squadron left Williamtown in 1941 to fight in the Middle East, Syria, the Western Desert and Italy, flying Kitty Hawks. Those years of service have not been forgotten.
We have Mr. Lyon.
The Gosford Hospital has been fighting for a renal unit for the Central Coast for many years now, but recently the state government agreed to fund renovations at an on-site cottage at the hospital and provide staff for a satellite unit. It was told the rest of the money would have to come from the community, and that's where the Lions Club stepped in. The various clubs have to raise $100,000 this financial year to buy 7 dialysis machines. The unit at Gosford will be affiliated with the renal section at Royal North Shore Hospital, so any complicated cases can be transferred to Sydney. Chief Executive Officer of Gosford Hospital, Mr. Neville Boyce.
Mr. Boyce, how great is the need for a renal unit here in Gosford?
Well, I believe it is great. We've had pressure over the years from people that are now going to Royal North Shore and Royal Newcastle, sometimes three times a week, and they're leaving the Central Coast at anywhere from 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning and not getting home till 6:30 at night, and it's extreme pressure, particularly if you have a family situation. And we've also had people wanting to come to the Central Coast and wanting to know, do we have a service here for a satellite service?
The 6 local offices on the judging panel were Mr. John Keith from the Westpac Bank and the regional winner was announced last night during the glittering ceremony.
Just how this feels waiting like this.
Colleen O'Brien.
Excited Colleen was sashed by last year's regional Queen of Hearts, Heather Murphy. Colleen will compete against other regional winners for the state title and the prize of a trip for 2 to London. Throughout the quest, all entrants have worked to raise funds for the Heart Foundation. Fundraising will continue until the 8th of October, and on the 12th, the region's highest fundraiser will be announced. She will also compete in the finals in Sydney for the title of Girl with the Golden Heart.
And certainly all the other entrants, and of course everyone for coming for your very generous support.
The situation is that 39-year-old Roger Thevey is the father of Craig and Brett Thevey, both boxers. Roger used to be 20 years ago. Since quitting the ring, has trained his sons. Tonight at the Cardiff Workers Club, all 3 are billed to fight. It will be the first time in the world that father and sons have appeared together on a fight bill. That's Guinness Book of Records material, and Roger will just make it, because in Australia, professional boxers aren't allowed to fight over the age of 40. Roger will be 40 in early December.
Roger, why are you doing it? Is it just that you want to have a last fling in the ring, so to speak, or that you want this recognition from the Guinness Book of Records?
Well, no, I think it's mainly the recognition, and it's something for the kids, me both sons, to be able to look back on, you know, and say, well, Dad's done it with us, you know.
Does it worry you at all that this bloke from Kempsey hasn't been stopped in 150 bouts and that you might get hurt tonight?
Oh no, I don't think. I think I've done enough sparring. I've trained the boys for many years at the Police Boys and that, you know, and I'm always, any fighter I train, I always hop in and spar with him, you know, and I've sparred with Phil McAwain, I've sparred with Mark McAwain, I've sparred with a lot of boys, you know, good fighters, and I think I'll be able to handle myself all right.
Main bout was between Craig Peavy and Fijian bantamweight champion Kin Shan, and it was an excellent fight. Peavy, in only his third professional fight, began well, and it was evident from the first round that the Newcastle junior was in control of proceedings. In the 9th round, Peavy opened up with a barrage of punches to the head and the body, and Shan hit the canvas with a crowd cheering wildly. Shan was forced to take the full 10 count, and Peavy was a worthy winner over the Fijian champion.
As far as my commitments next year, I really, at this stage, are undecided. I'd love to play rugby union next year, and with a little bit of luck, I will be.
What about the David Lord professional rugby troop? You've thought about that at all?
Well, I've given a great deal of thought to David Lord, but my opinion is that it'll fall through, and I subsequently, I haven't thought about it at all.
Sure, lost interest. What about the rumours of Eastern Suburbs will get Mark Ella in 1984?
Oh, well, like everything else, I think they're just rumours, and whatever I do next year, I'll have to wait until next year.
Close as possible each year to the anniversary of the Battle of Long Tan. Today, the President of the RSL, Sir Colin Hines, and the Deputy Mayor of Newcastle, Alderman Don Geddes, were the official guests at the well-attended service. Returned Servicemen's Associations from all over the city laid wreaths to commemorate the occasion. At the completion of the service, the crowd moved to the southeastern corner of the park, where a memorial was unveiled. The memorial is the first tribute to be paid solely to Vietnam War veterans in Australia.
Anthony Foster of Swansea was walking along the Swansea Bridge with friends in the early hours of this morning. He climbed onto the side of the bridge, slipped and fell into the channel and the strong current of the outgoing tide. Foster's friends said they saw him surface, but he disappeared before they could rescue him. A search was mounted immediately, and at first light today, 2 police boats from Belmont and Newcastle, the Westpac rescue helicopter and volunteer divers expanded the search. The entire length of the channel, from the bridge to the sea, was combed without success. The search will continue tomorrow.
Perhaps the most remarkable thing about the Golden Mask of Agamemnon is the marvellous group effort that's gone into this mammoth venture. About 60 people, including more than 40 young actors and 3 directors, have managed to create a strong and coherent piece of theatre that does credit to the group rather than any individual. The play clearly and simply recounts one of the most famous Greek legends, the blood curse on the royal family of which Agamemnon is a member. At its most simple, the theme is one of revenge versus true justice. This adaptation by John Wiles is absolutely marvellous for young actors, as it contains a whole variety of theatrical devices. There's song and dance, mask work and mime, action and narrative, broad humour and strong drama. And all these actors grabbed the opportunity with great gusto, giving us a very lively and entertaining performance. At times I thought the production was just a little bit overwhelming in the small space. Perhaps the volume of the group scenes could come down a few decibels, but the grouping of actors on the stage was always very effective. There were some extremely strong performances in leading roles, and the musical accompaniment of flute and percussion was perfect for this unusual and rewarding play.